Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video we're going to look at the video solutions to the practice questions on forming and solving equations. Now before you try these practice questions, it can be quite useful to try the Corbettmaths practice questions on forming expressions and also solving equations. And once you're confident with those two topics, you should be pretty confident with this topic. And in this video I'm going to go through the video solutions to these practice questions, so let's get started. Okay, so question number one. Question number one, we're told that three angles make up a straight line. So we've got this straight line and we've got these three angles, x degrees, 2x degrees and 3x degrees. And we've been asked to form an equation in x, so in terms of x. So we've got these three angles and they form a straight line. So we know the angles in a straight line add together to be 180 degrees. So if we add these angles together, that'll be equal to 180 degrees. So that means that x plus 2x plus 3x, adding the three angles together, will be equal to 180 degrees. Now that's an equation in terms of x. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to simplify this left hand side. If we've got x and we add 2x's, that's 3x's, and if we add another 3x's, that's 6x's. So I'm going to write 6x equals 180 degrees. So that's our equation. If we add these angles together, they'll be equal to 180 degrees. And if we add together the algebraic expressions, 3x, 2x and x, 3x plus 2x is 5x, plus another x is 6x. So 6x equals 180 degrees. So that's our equation. Let's write that down. 6x equals 180. So that's our equation. Okay, part B. Part B says solve the equation to find the value of x. So we've got 6x equals 180 degrees. So we now need to solve this equation. So we want to get the x on its own. So this is 6 multiplied by x. We don't want this multiplied by 6. So we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 6. Because if we want to get rid of multiply by 6, we do the inverse, which is divide by 6. So we're going to divide the left-hand side by 6. If we had 6x and we divide that by 6, well, that'll just be 1x or x. And on the right-hand side, we had 180 degrees. We're dividing that by 6. That's equal to 30. So that means that x is equal to 30 degrees. And then, are we asked anything else? Yep, part C. Part C says work out the size of the largest angle. So we know that x is equal to 30 degrees. So if we go back up to the diagram, x is equal to 30 degrees. So that's 30 degrees there. 2x, that'll be double x. 2 times 30 is 60 degrees. And this angle, the biggest one, 3x, that's 3 times 30. And 3 times 30 is equal to 90 degrees. So that means that this angle is 90 degrees. So the size of the largest angle is 90 degrees. So let's write that down. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 2. Okay, so question number 2, we've got this diagram, it's got a triangle, and we're told the sides are measured in centimetres. So we've got these sides, we've got x plus 4, 2x, and x plus 5. And part A says, form an expression, or write an expression in terms of x for the perimeter of the triangle. So to find the perimeter of a triangle, we add up the lengths of the sides. So we're going to add together these algebraic expressions. We're going to add up x plus 4, x plus 5 and 2x. So if I was adding these together, what I would do is I'd add the x's up to begin with. So 2x plus another x would be 3x, plus another x would be 4x. So there's 4 x's. I'm going to write 4x. And then we've got plus 4 plus 5. Well, 4 plus 5 is equal to 9, so plus 9. So that means the perimeter, our expression for the perimeter of this triangle, will be 4x plus 9. And what I done was I just added up the terms involving x. So 2x plus another x is 3x, plus another x is 4x. And then we've got our plus 4 plus 5, that's going to be plus 9, and that's it. Now if I wanted to, we could have written it down like this. We could have written x plus 4 plus x plus 5 plus 2x, and then added them up like this and collected the like terms. So x plus x is 2x, plus another 2x is equal to 4x, and then we've got 4 plus 5 is equal to plus 9. So our expression for the perimeter of this triangle is 4x plus 9. Okay, and then part B. Part B, we're told the perimeter of the triangle is 61 centimetres. So this perimeter is equal to 61 centimetres. So that's an equation. We've been asked to write an equation in terms of x. The perimeter, 4x plus 9, is equal to 61. And that's it. That's our equation in terms of x. And then part C. Part C says solve the equation to find x. We need to solve this equation. 4x plus 9 is equal to 61. So, because quite often after you form an equation, you've then got to solve that equation to find out what x is, or whatever the letter is. So we want to find out what x is, so we want to get the x on its own. So we want to get rid of this plus 9, and then we want to get rid of this multiplied by 4. So let's get rid of the add 9 to begin with. So we're going to subtract 9, the inverse, from both sides. So subtract 9 from the left hand side and subtract 9 from the right hand side. So on the left hand side, we've got 4x plus 9. We're going to take away the 9, so it's just going to leave us with 4x. And then on the right hand side of the equation, we had 61. We're taking away 9, that's equal to 52. So we've now got 4x equals 52. Now we want to find out what x is. We want the x on its own, so we want to get rid of this multiplied by 4. So to get rid of the multiplied by 4, we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 4. So we're going to divide the left-hand side by 4 and the right-hand side by 4. So 4x's divided by 4 is equal to 1x, or just x. And remember, we're dividing by 4 to just get rid of the multiply by 4, so we're going to be left with x. And the right-hand side, we've got 52 divided by 4. So you could use the Gauss-Shelton method here. 52 divided by 4. How many 4s go into 5? 1, remainder 1. And how many 4s go into 12? That's 3. So that'll be x equals 13. Or you could have divided it by 2 and divided by 2 again, or halved it and halved again. So half of 52 is 26, and half that is equal to 13. So x is equal to 13, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 3. So question number 3 says a child bus ticket costs X pound, and an adult bus ticket costs £9. And the owner bought 3 child bus tickets and 5 adult bus tickets, and the total price of the bus tickets was £63. And we've been asked to find the price of a child bus ticket. So what we're going to do here is we're going to form an equation, and then we're going to solve it. So let's form our equation. We're told that the owner bought 3 child bus tickets and 5 adult bus tickets. So let's form an algebraic expression for that information. So she bought 3 child tickets. So each child ticket is X pound. And if she bought 3 of them, that's going to be 3x. 3 times x. So that's going to be 3x. And she then bought 5 adult bus tickets. So that's going to be plus. And then 5 adult bus tickets. Each adult bus ticket costs £9. And she bought 5 of them. And 5 times 9 is equal to 45. So that means that the cost of those 5 adult bus tickets would be £45. So it's the 3 child tickets plus £45. So that's an algebraic expression for the total cost of the bus tickets. Now we're told the total price of the bus tickets was £63, so that's equal to 63. So we've formed an equation now. We've got an expression for the total cost of the bus tickets, 3x plus 45, and that's equal to £63. Now we want to solve this. So we want to solve this equation. So we want to get the x on its own. So to get the x on its own, we want to get rid of this add 45. And if we want to get rid of adding 45 or plussing 45, we want to do the inverse. That's going to take away 45 from both sides. So we're going to take away 45 from the left-hand side, and we're going to take away 45 from the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, we're taking away 45 to get rid of the adding 45. So we'd just be left with 3x. And then on the right-hand side, we had 63. We're taking away 45, that's equal to 18. And if you wanted to, you could check that. 63 take away 45, you could use your column method of subtraction there. So here, 3 take away 5, well, we're going to borrow. So we've now got 13 take away 5, that's equal to 8. And 5 take away 4 is equal to 1. So as you can see, that's £18. So 3 child tickets costs £18. We want to find the cost of one of them. The price of a child bus ticket, just the cost of one of them. So we want to find out what x is. So we want to get rid of this multiply by 3. So we're going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. And 3x divided by 3 would be 1x, or just x. Remember, we're dividing by 3 to get rid of the times by 3, so it just leaves us with x. On the right hand side, with 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6. So that means the price of a child bus ticket is £6. And we can check our answer because we're told that the owner bought 3 child bus tickets, so 3 times 6 is equal to 18. 5 adult bus tickets, 5 times 9 is equal to £45, and 18 plus 45 is 63, and that's it. So we know we've got it right. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 4. So question number 4, we're told that Sarah is X years old, and that Thomas is 3 years older than Sarah. And then we're told that David is twice as old as Sarah, and the total of their age, or the sum of their ages, is 51, or the total of their ages is 51. And then part A says, write an expression for Thomas's age in terms of x. So you want to write an expression for Thomas's age. Now Thomas is 3 years older than Sarah, and Sarah was X years old. So if we want to find out how old he is, we're going to have to add 3 onto Sarah's age. So for instance, if Sarah was 10, he'd be 13. If Sarah was 20, he'd be 23. If Sarah was 101, he'd be 104. So whatever age Sarah is, we'd add 3 to get Thomas's age. Now her age is x, so we need to add 3. So the expression for Thomas's age in terms of x would be x plus 3. Okay, next, we've then been asked to write an expression for David's age in terms of x. So David is twice as old as Sarah. So if Sarah was 7, he'd be 14, he's twice as old. If she was 15, he'd be 30. If she was 100, he'd be 200. So whatever age she is, he is double it, or 2 times it. So if we multiply her age by 2, we'll get his age. So x, if we want to multiply that by 2, we put a 2 in front of it. 2x, that's double x. So the expression for David's age is 2x. Okay, next, C. C says, form an equation in terms of x and solve it to work out Sarah's age. Okay, so we were told some information here. We're told the total of their ages, or the sum of their ages, is 51. So we've got Sarah, we had Thomas, and we had David, and she was x years old. He, Thomas, was equal to x plus 3 years old, so x plus 3, because he's 3 years older than her. And David, he was 2x. So we've got their ages, x, x plus 3, and 2x. Now we're told that the total of their ages is the sum of their ages, so we need to add them together to find the total. So x plus x would be equal to 2x, plus another 2x would be 4x, so we've got 4x, and then we've got our plus 3, so plus 3. So if we add together their ages, we'll get that's equal to 4x plus 3. Now in the question, we're told the total of their ages was 51. So that means that when we add them together, that's equal to 51. So we've now got an equation. I'm just going to move this equation up a little bit. So we've got 4x plus 3 is equal to 51. If we add together the algebraic expressions for their ages, we get that's equal to 4x plus 3, and that's equal to 51. So let's solve this. And then if we solve this equation, we'll find out what x is. And the question actually asks us to work out Sarah's age, and that is x. So whenever we solve this equation, that answer will be Sarah's age. So let's take away 3 from both sides, because we want to get rid of this plus 3. So take away 3 from the left-hand side, and take away 3 from the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, we had 4x plus 3. We're taking away 3 to get rid of the plus 3, so we're just going to be left with 4x, that's 4x. And on the right-hand side, we had 51. We're taking away 3, that's equal to 48. So we've got 4 times x is equal to 48. Now this means that x multiplied by 4 is equal to 48. We want to find out what x is, so we want to get rid of this multiplied by 4. So we're going to divide the left-hand side by 4, and we're going to divide the right-hand side by 4. So on the left-hand side, we've got 4 times x. We're dividing by 4 to get rid of the times by 4, so we'd just be left with x. And on the right-hand side, we had 48. We're dividing by 4. That's equal to 12. So that means x is equal to 12. So that means that Sarah is 12 years old. If we were asked to work out Thomas's age, he is 3 years older, so he'd be 15. And David was 2 times x, that's double Sarah's age, that's equal to 24. And if we add those ages together, 12 plus 15 is 27, plus 24 is 51. So that's it, yeah. So the question says to work out Sarah's age is 12. So that's it, Sarah's 12 years old. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 5. So question number 5 says, James has x pence, and Hannah's got 5 pence more than James, and Liam has got 2 pence less than James. There's a lot of information there, and we're told the total amount of money they have is 75 pence. And part A says, use this information to write down an equation in terms of x. Okay, so let's start off by looking at this. So we're told that James has x pence, and then we're told that Hannah has got 5 pence more than James. So if James had 10p, she would have 15p. If he had 20p, she'd have 25p. So whatever he has, which is x, she's got 5p more. So we're going to add 5. So it's going to be x plus 5. So that's how much money Hannah would have, because it's 5 more than what James has. And then we're told that Liam has 2 pence less than James. So if James had, for instance, 10p, he would have 8p. So we would take away 2 from whatever James has. So we're going to take away 2 from x, that's going to be x minus 2. So that's fantastic. We now have expressions for how much money James has, which is x pence, Hannah, x plus 5, and Liam, x minus 2. Now we're told the total amount of money they have is 75 pence. So that means if we add the amount of money they have together, we'd get 75 pence. So let's add together the algebraic expressions. So let's add the x's to begin with. So that's x plus x plus x. That's going to be 3x. And then in terms of the numbers, we've got plus 5 minus 2. Well, 5 minus 2 is 3. So then that'll be plus 3. So we had x plus x is 3x, and then we've got 5, and then take away 2 is 3. Or you could do minus 2 plus 5, which would be plus 3. And then that's equal to 75 pence. So that's our equation. 3x plus 3 is equal to 75. And that's it. Okay, and then part B. Part B says solve the equation. So we've got 3x plus 3 equals 75. And we want to solve this equation. So let's start by getting rid of this plus 3. So if we want to get rid of this plus 3, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, we'd just be left with 3x because we're taking away 3 to get rid of the plus 3. So we'd just be left with 3x on that left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we had 75. Take away 3, that's 72. So we've now got 3x equals 72. That's 3 times x is 72. We don't want this multiplied by 3. We just want to find out what x is. So we're going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. We're doing the inverse operation. Now 3x divided by 3, that would just be x. And then on the right hand side, we've got 72 divided by 3. So 72 divided by 3. How many 3's go into 7? That's 2 remainder 1. And how many 3's go into 12? That's 4. So that's 24. So it means that x is 24. Now the question says solve the equation to find out how much money James has. Let's just check and see if James is the x. And if we do, yep, James has x pence, so James has 24 pence. So let's write that down. James has 24 pence. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 6. So question number 6 says 3 angles meet at a point. So we've got these 3 angles, x plus 30 degrees, x plus 10 degrees, and 2x degrees. And we've been asked to work out the size of the largest angle. So we want to find the size of the largest angle. So let's form and solve an equation to begin with, because we know that these 3 angles, if we add them together, they'll be equal to 360 degrees because they meet at a point. So that means they'd add together to be 360 degrees. So let's add together the algebraic expressions to begin with. So let's start off by adding up the x's. 2x plus x, that's 3x, plus another x is 4x, so we've got 4x. And then we've got plus 10 plus 30, so that'll be plus 40 altogether. Adding that 10 and 30 together, so that'll be plus 40. And that equals 360, because these 3 angles, they meet at a point, so that means they add together to be 360 degrees. Now let's solve this equation and find out what x is. And once we find out what x is, we can then substitute them into each of these expressions to find the size of each angle. Because at the minute I think this is the largest one, but what if it's this one? So let's solve this equation to begin with. So let's take away 40 to get rid of the plus 40, and take away 40. We're going to take away 40 from both sides to get rid of this plus 40. So on the left hand side we'll be left with 4x, and on the right hand side we have 360, take away 40 would be 320. Now we want to find out what x is, so this is 4 times x. We don't want this times by 4, so we're going to divide by 4 and divide by 4. So on the left hand side we'd just be left with x, and on the right hand side we have 320 divided by 4. So let's half it, that's 160, and half it again would be 80. So that means that x is 80 degrees. Now let's find the size of each of these angles. So x is 80 degrees. So let's start off with this one. We've got x plus 10. So if we add 10 to this, 80 plus 10 would be 90. So this angle is 90 degrees. That's actually a right angle. This angle, x plus 30, well, 80 plus 30 is 110. So that's 110 degrees, this one. And this one, 2x, that's 2 times x. And 2 times 60 would be 160. So that's 160 degrees. And let's just check and see if we're right here, because 110 plus 90 is 200, plus 160 is 360 degrees. So those 3 angles add together to be 360 degrees. That's fantastic. Now we want to find the size of the largest angle. So the largest angle is this one. So that's 160 degrees. So let's write that down, 160 degrees. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 7. So question number 7, we've got a triangle, and we know the 3 angles in a triangle will add together to be 180 degrees. And we've been asked to work out the value of x, so we want to find the value of x. So we've got the 3 angles, and they've got algebraic expressions for each of them: x plus 20 degrees, 2x minus 20 degrees, and 2x minus 40 degrees. And we know that the 3 angles will add together to be 180 degrees, so let's add together these algebraic expressions. So let's start off with the x's. We've got 2x's plus 2x's, that's 4x's, plus another x, that's 5x's. So it's 5x. And then we've got our numbers here. Then we've got 20, take away 20, that's going to be 0. Take away 40, that's going to be minus 40. So here, if you do 20, take away 20, that's 0. And take away 40, that's going to be minus 40. Or you could do minus 40, take away 20, that's going to be minus 60, plus 20, bring it up to minus 40, and so on. So if you add together these algebraic expressions, you get that's equal to 5x minus 40. But that's equal to 180 degrees, because these 3 angles have to add together to be 180 degrees. And now we can solve this equation, and if we solve this equation we will find x. So if we want to solve this equation, we want to get rid of this minus 40 to begin with, so we want to do the inverse operation. And the opposite of minus and 40 would be adding 40, so we're going to add 40 to the left hand side and add 40 to the right hand side. So on the left hand side we've got 5x minus 40. We're adding 40 to get rid of the minus 40, so we're just going to be left with 5x. Then on the right hand side we've got 180, add 40, and 180 add 40 would be 220. So that means that we've got 5x equals 220 degrees. We'd find that by adding 40 to both sides of that equation. Now we want to get rid of this multiplied by 5. So we're going to divide the left hand side by 5 and divide the right hand side by 5. So we're going to get that x is equal to, because 5x divided by 5 is equal to x. And then if we do the bus shelter method, 220 divided by 5. So that bus shelter is not very straight. We're going to do it again. 220 divided by 5. That's a bit better. So how many 5s go into 2? 0 remainder 2. How many 5s go into 22? That's going to be 4 remainder 2. And how many 5s go into 20? That's going to be 4. So that means the x is 44 degrees. So that means the x is 44 degrees. And that's it. We've found the size of x. And this question, we didn't need to work out the size of the angle, so we don't need to substitute that into any of these, because the question just said to find x. And that's it, 44 degrees. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 8. Okay, so question number 8, we're told that angle ABC is an obtuse angle. So an obtuse angle, remember, is bigger than 90 but less than 180 degrees. And we're told the angle ABD, so ABD, that's this part here from here around to here, so this part here, ABD, is 4 times larger than angle DBC, DBC. So what it's saying is that this angle is 4 times the size of this one. So if this one perhaps was 5 degrees, that'll be 20 degrees. And obviously that wouldn't work because this has to be an obtuse angle, but whatever angle this is 4 times bigger. And then we're told the whole angle ABC is 160 degrees. So this whole thing is 160 degrees. So it means that these two angles will add together to be 160 degrees. And the question asks us to work out the size of angle ABD. So we want to find the size of this angle. Okay, now we know that this angle is 4 times the size of this one. So this smaller angle, I'm just going to call that X. Then the larger one will be 4 times larger. And 4 times X would be 4X. So here, if this is X, this is 4X, because I know this angle is 4 times larger than this one. Okay, now we know that these two angles will add together to be 160 degrees. So let's make an equation here. 4x plus x would be 5x. So we'd have 5x, if we add together these algebraic expressions, 4x plus x is 5x, and that's equal to 160 degrees. So that's equal to 160 degrees. Now we can actually solve that equation. If we solve that equation, we'll find out what x is. Then we can times that by 4 to find the size of this larger angle. So we want to solve this equation, so we've got 5 times x. We don't want this multiplied by 5, so let's divide by 5 and divide by 5. So on the left-hand side, we had 5 times x. We're dividing by 5 to get rid of the times by 5, so we're just going to be left with x. So we've got x. And the right-hand side, we've got 160 divided by 5. So let's do our Bush-Shelton method. 160 divided by 5. So how many 5s go into 1? 0, remainder 1. How many 5s go into 16? That'll be 3. 3 5s is 15, remainder 1. And how many 5s go into 10? That's 2. So that means that x is 32 degrees. So this is actually a 32 degree angle, 32 degrees. Now the question says work out the size of angle ABD. We want to find the size of this angle. So this angle is 4 times larger than this one, because here we've got x and 4x, which has times them by 4. Or the question says that this angle is 4 times larger than this one. So if we just do 32 times 4, we can find the size of this angle. So I'm just going to do that over here. 32 multiplied by 4. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12. So that's 128 degrees, 128 degrees. And let's just check that. 128 plus 32 is 160, so that works. So that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 9. Okay, so question number 9. Question number 9 says, Shay recorded 3 songs, A, B, and C. So Shay's recorded these 3 songs. Song B is 40 seconds longer than song A. So this song is 40 seconds longer than this one. So if this was 100 seconds, that'd be 140 seconds. And then we're told that song C, this song, is twice as long as song A. So for instance, if this was 100 seconds, that'd be 200 seconds. And the question says the total length for the 3 songs, so if you add together their lengths, you get that's equal to 680 seconds. And we've been asked to work out the length of song B. Okay, so we've got song A, so song A, song B, and song C. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by letting song A be equal to x. And the reason I'm going to let song A be equal to x is because we're told that song B is 40 seconds longer. So I can add 40 to this quite nicely. So that'll be x plus 40, and that'll be the length of song B. And then it says that song C is twice as long as song A, so we can times this by 2 quite nicely as well. And x times 2 is equal to 2x. So what I've done is I've let song A be equal to x, and then to get the length of song B, I've added 40, so that's x plus 40, and in terms of song C, I've just times it by 2, and that's equal to 2x. Okay, we're then told that the total length of the 3 songs is equal to 680 seconds. So let's add together these algebraic expressions to find the total length, so the total. Okay, so let's add together the x's. X plus x is 2x, plus another 2x is 4x, that's 4x. And then we've got our plus 40, so plus 40. So if we add together these algebraic expressions, we get that's equal to 4x plus 40. Now we're told the total length of the songs is 680 seconds. So 4x plus 40 is equal to 680 seconds. That's an equation. And then once we get this equation, we can solve it. We can find x, which is the length of song A, and then we can figure out the length of song B. So let's solve this equation. Let's take away 40 from both sides. So take away 40 from the left-hand side and take away 40 from the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, we had 4x plus 40. We're taking away 40 to get rid of the plus 40, so that's just going to leave us with 4x. And then the right-hand side, we had 680. We're taking away 40, that's going to be 640. Now we want to find out what x is, so we don't want this multiplied by 4, so we're going to divide by 4 and divide by 4. On the left-hand side, well, 4 times x, we're dividing by 4 to get rid of the multiply by 4, so we're just going to be left with x. And then 640 divided by 4, you could use the Bush delta method, or I'm just going to half it and half it again. Half of it is 320, half it again is 160. So that's 160 seconds. So that means that x is 160. So I'm just going to change colour of pen here to blue. So if song A is x, that's 160 seconds. Song B, that's 40 seconds longer, so adding 40 would be equal to 200. And 2x, that's double the length of song A, 2 times 160 is 320. And if we were to add these together, these 160, the 200 and the 320, that's equal to 680 seconds. So we know we've got that right. Now the question says work out the length of song B. Song B is 200 seconds. So let's write that down, that song B is 200 seconds. Now the question said, I didn't actually read the question. Always make sure you read the question. It says give your answer in minutes and seconds. So it's 200 seconds. So 200 seconds. Okay, so it's very important you read the question there. Okay, so in terms of minutes, we've got 1 minute is 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 120 seconds, 3 minutes, 180 seconds. Another minute would be past 200 seconds, so we know it's 1, 2, 3 minutes. 3 times 60 is 180. And there's 20 seconds left over. So it's going to be 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And that's it. So that's how you do question number 9. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 10. Okay, so question number 10. Question number 10 says, shown as a trapezium. So we've got this trapezium, and we've got the size of some angles. We've got a right angle here. That's 90 degrees. I like to write 90 as soon as I see that right angle. We've got another right angle. That's another 90 degrees. And then we've got these two angles, and we've got algebraic expressions for the size of each of them. So we've got x plus 50 and x plus 10. And the question says, calculate the size of the largest angle in the trapezium. So I'm thinking that's going to be this one. And let's hopefully find the size of this angle. But let's actually find x to begin with and then find the size of each of them. So in terms of finding the size of x, let's form an equation. Because again, this booklet's on forming equations. But also here we've got a quadrilateral. These 4 angles will add together to be 360 degrees. So if we add together the size of each of the angles, then we can put that equal to 360. And then that's an equation. Okay, so let's add together the x's to begin with. So we've got x plus x, that's 2x, so 2x. And then we've got 10 plus 90, that's equal to 100. Plus 90, that's 190. Plus 50, that's 240. This is plus 240. So if we add together these angles, we get that's equal to 2x plus 240. And then that's equal to, because it's a quadrilateral, 360 degrees. So we know these 4 angles will always add together to be 360 degrees for a 4-sided shape. Okay, now let's solve this equation to find out what x is. So let's take away 240 from both sides of the equation. So let's take away 240 from the left-hand side, and let's take away 240 from the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, we'd just be left with 2x, because we're taking away 240 to get rid of the plus 240, so we'd just be left with 2x. And on the right-hand side, we have 360, take away 240, that's 120. Okay, so we've now got the 2x is equal to 120. We want to find out what x is, so let's divide by 2 and divide by 2. So 2x divided by 2 is equal to x, that's x. And on the right hand side, we've got 120 divided by 2, that's equal to 60. So x is equal to 60 degrees. So now we know that x is equal to 60 degrees, we can find the size of each angle. So this is 90, that's 90. X plus 10, that's going to be 60 plus 10, that's 70 degrees. So that's not going to be the largest angle. And this one, which is the obtuse angle, I think this is going to be the largest. 60 plus 50, x plus 50, so that's going to be 60 plus 50, is equal to 110 degrees. So this angle is 110 degrees. And let's just check we've got this right. 100 plus 90 is 200. Plus 90, 290, plus 70, 360 degrees. And the largest angle would be 110 degrees. So let's write that down, 110 degrees. And that's it. Okay, so let's have a look at our next question, question number 11. So question number 11 says, in a bag there are green, yellow and blue sweets, and there's 3 times as many yellow sweets than blue sweets. So for instance, if there was 10 blue sweets, there'd be 30 yellow sweets, and there's 8 less blue sweets than green sweets. And then we're told, altogether, there are 128 sweets in the bag, and we've been asked to work out the ratio of green sweets to blue sweets in the bag. Okay, so this question looks quite complicated because there's a lot of information, but let's start off by perhaps creating and forming an equation, because we're told some information about the yellow, the blue and the green sweets in the bag, and we know how many there are altogether. So we're told there's 3 times as many yellow sweets than blue sweets. So let's let the number of blue sweets be x, and then if there's 3 times as many yellow sweets, then that would be 3 times x would be 3x. And then we're told there's 8 less blue sweets than green sweets. So for instance, if there was 20 green sweets, there'd be 12 blue sweets because there's 8 less blue ones than green ones. So that means to find the number of blue sweets, we would have taken 8 away from the number of green sweets. So here, because we know there's X blue sweets, so we know the number of blue sweets is X, because there's 8 less of them than green sweets. So for instance, if there was 20 blue sweets, there'd be 28 green sweets. So that means to find the number of green sweets, we're going to have to add 8 to X. So it's going to be X plus 8. So let's just recap that. We're told there's 3 times as many yellow sweets than blue sweets in the bag. So we've let the number of blue sweets be X and the number of yellow sweets will be 3 times that, which would be 3X. We're then told there's 8 less blue sweets than green sweets in the bag. So that means because we know there's X blue sweets, there's going to be 8 more green. So that's going to be X plus 8. And then we're told altogether there's 128 sweets in the bag. So let's add together these algebraic expressions and put it equal to 128. So let's add together the x's first of all. 3x plus x would be 4x, plus another x is 5x, that's 5x, so 5x. And then we've got our plus 8, so plus 8 is equal to 128. Now we want to solve this equation, so let's get the x on its own. So let's get rid of the plus 8. So to get rid of the plus 8, we're going to subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. So on the left hand side, we had 5x plus 8. We're taking away 8 to get rid of the plus 8, so we'll be left with 5x. Then on the right hand side of the equation, we had 128. We're taking away 8, so it'll be 120. Okay, so we've now got 5 times x is 120. We don't want this times by 5, so let's divide both sides by 5. So let's divide the left hand side by 5 and divide the right hand side by 5. 5x divided by 5 would just be x, 1x or x, that's going to be x. And then we need to do 120 divided by 5. Now it's a calculator question, so you can just head down to your calculator and you get that's equal to 24. So that means that x is equal to 24. So that means that, let's just change colour of ink here to blue. So that means that there would be 24 blue sweets, because that's x. The number of yellow sweets is 3x, so 3 times 24, and if you do it in your calculator, that's 72. And the number of green sweets, well, that's x plus 8, so it's going to be 24 plus 8, which is 32. And let's just check this. If we had 72 plus 32, that's 104, plus 24 is 128. So that's it. So we've found the number of each of the sweets in the bag. Now the question says to find the ratio of green sweets to blue sweets. So green sweets, there's 32 of those, so 32. And then blue sweets, well, there's 24 of those, so it's going to be 32 to 24. So that's the ratio of green sweets to blue sweets in the bag. Now let's cancel this down. So let's divide both of these numbers by 8. So let's divide by 8 and divide by 8. And 32 divided by 8 would be 4. And 24 divided by 8 would be 3. So the ratio of green sweets to blue sweets in the bag is 3 to 4. And that's it. Okay, so that's question number 11 done. Let's have a look at question number 12. So question number 12, we've got this rectangle, and we've got this rectangle. It's got a length of 2x plus 3 centimetres and a width of x centimetres. And we're told the perimeter of the rectangle is 72 centimetres. And we've been asked to calculate the width and the length of the rectangle. So we've been given its perimeter is 72 centimetres. In terms of the perimeter of this rectangle, let's find an algebraic expression for the perimeter of this rectangle. So if the length of the right hand side is equal to x, the length of the left hand side would be equal to x as well. And if the length of the rectangle is 2x plus 3, that means this length would also be 2x plus 3. So we've got the lengths of all the sides. Now we were told in the question the perimeter of the rectangle is 72 centimetres. So remember, to find the perimeter of a shape, we add up the lengths of all the sides. So let's add up the lengths of all these sides. So 2x plus 2x is 4x, plus another x is 5x, plus another x would be 6x. So we've got 6x. And then let's add up the numbers. So we've got plus 3 plus another 3, that'd be plus 6. And that's equal to 72. So that equals 72. And now let's solve this equation. So we've got 6x plus 6 is equal to 72. If we solve this, we can find x, that'll be the width, and then we can find the length. Okay, so to solve this equation, let's take away 6 from both sides. So let's take away 6 and take away 6. So on the left hand side, we'll be left with 6x. And on the right hand side, we've got 72, take away 6, that's 66. So we've now got that 6x equals 66, so 6 times x is 66. Now let's divide both sides by 6. So if we divide by 6 and divide by 6, we can find x. So x would be equal to 66 divided by 6 is 11. So that means that x is equal to 11. So that means the width of this rectangle is equal to 11 centimetres. And it means the length of it, well, that's 2x plus 3, so 2 times 11 is 22, plus 3 would be 25. So the width of the rectangle is 11 centimetres and the length of the rectangle is 25 centimetres. So let's write that down. The width is 11 centimetres and the length is 25 centimetres. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 13. Okay, so question number 13, we're told the cost of a chair is X pounds, and the cost of a table is £15 more than the price of a chair. That's quite reasonable for a table, actually. And the total cost of the chair and the table is £335, and we've been asked to calculate the cost of the table. Okay, so it's a calculator question, but let's get started with this, and I think perhaps we'll be able to solve this one without a calculator quite nicely, but let's have a look and see. So the cost of a chair is X pound, and the cost of the table is £15 more. So if the chair costs, for instance, £80, the table will be £95, or if the chair costs £100, the table costs £115, and so on. So that means that if the cost of the chair is X pound, the cost of the table would be X plus 15. It's £15 more. You'd add 15 to find the cost of the table. Now we're then told the cost of the chair and the table, the total cost is £335. So let's make an equation here. If we add these together, the x and the x plus 15, we know that's going to be equal to £335. So x plus x is 2x, and we've still got our 15, so plus 15, and that's equal to £335, so £335. So we've made an equation. And now we've formed our equation, we can solve it. We can take away 15 from both sides, so take away 15 and take away 15. On the left hand side we would just be left with 2x, and then the right hand side we had 335, we're taking away 15, so it's going to be 320. And then finally we've got, that's 2x, we don't want 2x, we want to find x, so we want to divide by 2 and divide by 2, and if we divide both sides of this equation by 2, we're going to get that x is equal to, and half of 320 would be 160. Now it's a calculator question, so you could do it on the calculator if you wanted to, or I just done half of 32 is 16, so that'd be 160. Now, in this question, we found x, and remember x is the cost of a chair. The cost of the chair is X pounds, that's £160. The table costs £15 more. So if we add 15 to this, that's going to be the cost of the table, which is £175. And in this question, we were asked to find the cost of the table. So the cost of the table would be £175. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 14. So question number 14, we've got this rectangle, and we've got the length of it here is 5x plus 3. We've then got the width is 2x. We've then got this length is 3x plus 9. Well, that's interesting because they're the opposite sides of a rectangle, so they've got the same length as each other. And then the left-hand side is 2x. And the question says the diagram shows a rectangle, the sides are measured in centimetres, and part A says explain why 5x plus 3 is equal to 3x plus 9. Well, the opposite sides of a rectangle have got the same length, so let's write that down. And that's it, I've just explained that the opposite sides of a rectangle have the same length, so 5x plus 3 would be equal to 3x plus 9. Okay, and then part B. Part B, we've now got to solve that equation. That makes sense. We're now going to solve this equation to find out what x is. So we've got 5x plus 3 equals 3x plus 9. So here we've got an equation. Unlike all the equations that we've done so far, where we've just had letters on one side, this equation's got letters, or variables, these x's, on both sides. So what we're going to do is, whenever you got equations with letters on both sides, you want to get rid of the lowest number of x's on one of the sides. So here you've got 5x and 3x. Let's get rid of this 3x. So to get rid of this 3x, we're going to take away 3x from both sides of the equation. So take away 3x and take away 3x. So 5x's, take away 3x's, would be 2x's. So that'd be 2x's. We've still got our plus 3, so plus 3. And that'll be equal to it. Now on the right hand side, we had 3x plus 9. We're taking away the 3x, so we're just going to be left with 9. So we had 5x plus 3 equals 3x plus 9. We've taken away 3x's from both sides, and that's left us with 2x's, plus 3 on the left hand side, and just 9 on the right hand side. And now this equation is just like all the others we've looked at so far, so we want to solve this equation. So we want to get rid of this plus 3, so minus 3 and minus 3. The left hand side, well, we had 2x plus 3. We're taking away 3 to get rid of the plus 3, so we're just going to be left with 2x. And the right hand side, we had 9. We're taking away 3, so that'll be 6. So we've now got 2x equals 6. We're just going to divide by 2 and divide by 2. So 2x divided by 2 would just be x, so that'd be x. And on the right hand side, you've got 6 divided by 2, that's 3. So it means that x is equal to 3 centimetres. We found x. And then part C, we've been asked to calculate the perimeter of the rectangle. So if we go up here, we want to find the perimeter of this rectangle. So we know that x is equal to 3, so let's substitute that in and find out the length of the length and the length of the width of this rectangle. So 2x, 2 times x, that would be 2 times 3. 2 times x would be equal to, 2 times 3 would be equal to 6. So that's 6 centimetres. That means that this side would also be 6 centimetres. And then in terms of the top here, you've got 5 times x, that's 5 times 3, which is 15, plus 3 is 18. So that's 18 centimetres there for the length of the top of the rectangle. Now the bottom should be the same, this should also be 18 centimetres, but let's check it. 3 times x, that's 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 9 is equal to 18. So that's it, we've found the lengths of all the sides. Now the question asks us to find the perimeter of the rectangle, so we need to do 6 plus 18 plus 6 plus 18. So let's do that. Let's go down and do that. So 6 plus 18 plus 6 plus 18. And let's work this out. So 6 plus 18 is 24. And this 6 plus this 18 is 24. So we've got 24 plus 24, and that's equal to 48. So 48 centimetres. Alternatively, you could have done 18 plus 18 is 36, plus 6 is 42, plus 6 is 48, and so on. So the perimeter of the rectangle is 48 centimetres, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 15. So question number 15 says, Jolene buys 14 sandwiches and 9 drinks for £91. And a sandwich costs 75p more than a drink. And we've been asked to find the cost of a drink. Okay, so in terms of this question, it's a calculator question. That might be quite handy here because we've got pence and pounds. So I'm going to probably change this £91 into 9,100 pence. So that might be handy in this question. Okay, and now let's make an equation because we're told that a sandwich costs 75p more than a drink. So if a drink costs X pence, a sandwich costs 75p more, so that'll be X plus 75. It's 75p more than what a drink costs. So if a drink costs £1, the sandwich would cost £1.75, and so on. Now we know that Jolene buys 14 sandwiches, so she buys 14 of these, and she buys 9 drinks, so she buys 9 of these. And that's equal to £91 or 9,100 pence. So let's make an equation there because we've got 14 sandwiches, so that's 14 times this. So I'm going to put it in brackets, I'm going to do 14, then in brackets X plus 75 because it's 14 sandwiches, so it's 14 of these, so 14 lots of X plus 75. And then we're told she buys 9 drinks. Now each drink is X pence, so we're going to times that by 9, so it's going to be 9X. And then that's equal to the total price in pence, which is 9,100. Okay, so we've now got our equation. We were going to expand our brackets to begin with. So let's expand our brackets. So to remember to expand brackets, you multiply what's inside the bracket by the number outside. So we're going to do 14 times X. That's going to be 14X. And then plus, and then we're going to do 14 times 75. So it's a calculator question, so you can get your calculator and do it in your calculator. 14 times 75 is equal to 1,050. So that's 1,050. And then we've got plus 9X is equal to 9,100. So we've just expanded our brackets. If you have 14 lots of X plus 75, altogether that's 14X plus 1,050. And then we've still got a plus 9X equals 9,100. Okay, now let's simplify this left-hand side because we've got 14x and 9x. And 14x's plus 9x's is 23x's. So we're going to have 23x's, just collecting the like terms. And we've still got our plus 1,050, and that equals 9,100. So 9,100. Okay, now this equation is quite nice. We just want to get the x on its own. So let's get rid of this 1,050. So let's take away 1,050 and take away 1,050. So on the left-hand side, we'd be left with 23x. And on the left-hand side, we had 9,100. And we're taking away 1,050. And that's equal to 8,050. So if we've now got 23x is equal to 8,050, we want to find out what x is, so we want to get rid of this 23, this multiplied by 23. So we're going to divide by 23 and divide by 23. So if you've got 23x and you divide by 23, you'll be left with x, and then 8,050 divided by 23 is equal to 350. So that means that x, which is the cost of a drink, is 350 pence or £3.50. And that's it, we've solved that question. If the question asks us to find the cost of a sandwich, we would have to add 75p on, so that'll be £4.25. But the question just asks us for the cost of a drink, and it's £3.50, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 16. So question number 16, we've had a similar question to this a few questions ago, so hopefully you'll be quite good at this one. But let's have a look at it. So here we've got a rectangle, and we've been asked to begin with, explain why 4x plus 1 is equal to 2x plus 9. So here we've got 4x plus 1 here, we've got 2x plus 9 here, but the opposite sides of a rectangle have got the same length. So this length is equal to this length. So let's explain that. And that's it, I've just explained that the opposite sides of a rectangle have got the same length. So 4x plus 1 equals 2x plus 9, and that's it. Okay, part B. Part B says to find x. So we want to find x, so we've got this equation, this 4x plus 1 equals 2x plus 9. If we solve that, we can find x. So we've got letters on both sides. So we've got 4x's and 2x's. The lowest number of x's there would be 2x's. So let's take away 2x's from both sides. So let's take away 2x's from the left-hand side and take away 2x's from the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, we had 4x plus 1. We're taking away 2x's, so that'll just leave us with 2x's. Because 4x's take away 2x's is 2x's. And we've still got our plus 1. And then the right hand side, with 2x plus 9, we're taking away the 2x, so we'll just be left with 9. So we've now got 2x plus 1 equals 9. Now we want to solve this, so we want to get the x on its own, so let's get rid of this plus 1, so minus 1 and minus 1. So on the left hand side, that would leave us with 2x, and the right hand side would have 8. And then if we divide by 2 and divide by 2, we then get 2x divided by 2 is just x, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it means that x is equal to 4 centimetres. And then part C says find the area of the rectangle. So we want to find the area of this rectangle. We know that x is 4, so that's 4 centimetres. In terms of the length here, well, this is 4x plus 1. X is equal to 4, so 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So that is 17 centimetres there. And likewise, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 9 is 17, so that's 17 as well. So we've got that the length of the rectangle is 17, and the width of it is 4. So if we want to find the area, we're going to do 17 times 4. So the area of the rectangle will be 17 times 4. And is this a calculator question? No, so we're going to have to do our column multiplication, so 17 multiplied by 4. So 4 times 7 is 28, put our 8 down, carry our 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6, so that's 68 centimetres squared. And that's it, that's the area of the rectangle, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 17. So question number 17 says, shown as a pentagon, and it's not a regular one, obviously you can see here this is an irregular pentagon because the angles aren't the same length and the sides aren't the same size. And if it's regular, then the angles and sides are all the same length and size as each other, but here it's just an irregular one. It says, shown as a pentagon with the sides of each angle shown. So we've got x plus 10 degrees, 2x plus 10 degrees, x plus 10 degrees again, 2x degrees, and x plus 20 degrees. And the question says find the size of the largest angle. So the angles in a pentagon add together to be 540 degrees. And I know that off by heart because a triangle is 180, a quadrilateral, a four-sided shape is 360, and a five-sided shape, you just add another 180. And it's a calculated question, so you could just take the 360 and add another 180, and you get that's 540, or just know it off by heart. So the angles in this shape, this pentagon, always add together to be 540 degrees. So we can make an equation because we can add together these algebraic expressions and then put it equal to 540. So let's do that. So let's add up the x's. X plus x is 2x, plus another 2x is 4x, plus another x is 5x, plus another 2x is 7x. That's 7x. And then in terms of the numbers, we've got 10 plus 20 is 30, plus another 10 is 40, plus another 10 is 50, so plus 50. So we've got 7x plus 50 equals, and because they add together to be 540 degrees, that'll be 540. And now that's our equation. We can solve this. We can take away 50 from both sides. So take away 50 and take away 50. The left-hand side would just be left with 7x because we took away 50 to get rid of the plus 50. So we're just left with 7x. And on the right-hand side, we had 540. Take away 50, so it's going to be 490. And then finally, we've got 7 times x. We want to get rid of this multiplied by 7, so we're going to divide by 7 and divide by 7. And whenever we divide both sides by 7, we'll be left with x on the left-hand side, and 490 divided by 7 is 70. So x is 70 degrees. So now we know that x is 70 degrees, we can find the size of the largest angle. Let's find the size of all of the angles, actually. I'm just going to go to blue ink here. So x is 70, so that means that this would be 80 degrees. X is 70, so this is 90 degrees. X is 70, so that's going to be 2 times 70 is 140, so that's 150 degrees. X is 70, so if you add 10, that's going to be 80 degrees. And 2x is going to be 140 degrees. So the largest angle there is 150 degrees. So that's the size of the largest angle, 150 degrees. And that's it. Okay, so here's our next question, question number 18. So question number 18 says, the diagram below shows a pair of parallel lines. So as you can see with these arrows, this line is parallel to this line. So then we've got this transversal, the line that crosses the parallel lines. So we're going to have alternate and corresponding angles and so on. And we've got this angle here is marked on, this 4x minus 20 degrees, and this angle is marked on here, this 2x plus 50 degrees. Now these two angles are actually equal to each other. If we have a look, they're both obtuse angles, but also we know that they are alternate angles. If you've got these two parallel lines and the line that crosses them, this angle is equal to this one because they're alternate angles, and likewise this one's equal to this one because they're alternate. But here we know that these two angles are equal to each other, and the question asks us to work out the size of angle 2x plus 50. So let's put them equal to each other. So 4x minus 20 is equal to 2x plus 50. So that's our equation. We're now going to solve this. So we've got letters on both sides, so we want to get rid of the lowest number of x's. So we've got 4x's and 2x's. The lowest number is 2x's, so we're going to take away 2x's from both sides. So 4x minus 20, if we take away 2x's, 4x's take away 2x's is 2x's. We've still got our minus 20. And then on our right hand side we had 2x plus 50. We're taking away the 2x, so 2x take away 2x, that's 0. And we've still got our plus 50, so that's equal to 50. And now we want to solve this, so let's add 20 to both sides. So if we add 20 to both sides, it get rid of this minus 20 here. So we'll be left with 2x's there. And then on the right hand side with 50 plus 20, that's 70. And then finally, this is 2 times x. We don't want 2 times x, we want to divide by 2. So divide by 2 and divide by 2. And we get that x is equal to, and 70 divided by 2 is 35. So that means that x is 35 degrees. Now, we know now that x is equal to 35 degrees. But the question actually asks us to work out the size of the angle 2x plus 50. We want to find the size of this angle, this obtuse angle. So 2 times x, 2 times 35. Well, double 35 is 70, so 70 plus 50. So 70 plus 50. And 70 plus 50 is equal to 120. So this angle is 120 degrees. And that's it. So that angle is 120 degrees. So calculate the size of that angle, 120 degrees. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 19. So question number 19 says, shown below is an isosceles triangle. So we've got this isosceles triangle. You can see we've got the little dash here and here. And each side is measured in centimetres. And part A says, explain why 3x minus 1 is equal to x plus 9. So as you can see from this dash and this dash, with this isosceles triangle, this length is the same length as that length. So these two lengths have got the same size. So that means that 3x minus 1 would be equal to x plus 9. So let's explain that. And that's it. So as the triangle is isosceles, the two marked sides as equal are equal. So 3x minus 1 is equal to x plus 9. And that's it. Okay, let's look at the next part. The next part says solve the equation above. So we've got 3x minus 1 equals x plus 9. And we want to solve that equation. So let's find the lowest number of x's. So we've got 3x's and x. So x is the lowest number. So let's take away x from both sides. So 3x minus 1. Well, we're taking away an x, so 3x take away x would be 2x, so we've got 2x minus 1. And on the right-hand side, we had x plus 9. We're taking away the x, we'll be left with 9. Now we've got 2x minus 1 is equal to 9, so let's add 1 and add 1. So the left-hand side would just become 2x, because we're adding 1 to get rid of the minus 1. And the right-hand side, we've got 9 plus 1, that's equal to 10. So we've now got the 2x equals 10. We're now going to divide by 2 and divide by 2, and we get that x is equal to 5. So x is equal to 5 centimetres, and that's it. Okay, and then part C. Part C says find the perimeter of the triangle. So let's go up. We want to find the perimeter of this triangle. So x is equal to 5. So you want to find the perimeter of this triangle. So in terms of the base, 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. So the base has got a length of 6 centimetres. The right-hand side, 5 plus 9 is equal to 14. So that's 14 centimetres. And the left-hand side, we had 3x. 3 times 5 is 15. Take away 1 is 14. And that's great that the right-hand sides get the same length as the left-hand side. If they weren't the same as each other, I'd panic a bit there. So we've got 14 centimetres, and 6 centimetres. So let's find the perimeter. So 14 plus 14 plus 6. 14 plus 6 is equal to 20, plus another 14 would be 34. So 34 centimetres. So 34 centimetres. And that's it. So that's the perimeter of the triangle. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 20. Question number 20, we've got this triangle, and we've got this angle at the top is marked as y. The angle here, the bottom left-hand angle, is labelled as 3x plus 26 degrees, and this angle is marked as 90 minus x degrees. And we've been asked to find the size of this angle marked y. So here we've got an isosceles triangle. It's isosceles because you can see it's marked here. This length is the same as this length. So if this side is the same length as that side, these two angles are the same because an isosceles triangle's got a one line of symmetry. So these two angles will be the same as each other. So that means we can actually write an equation here. We can write down that 3x plus 26 is equal to 90 minus x because they're equal to each other. Now we want to solve this equation. If we solve this equation, we can find x. When we find x, we can find the size of both of these angles, and then we can then find y. So let's find the size of x here. Okay, so let's solve this equation. So we want to get rid of the lowest number of x's. So we've got 3x's and minus x. So minus 1x is lower than 3x. So we want to get rid of this minus 1x. And to get rid of this minus 1x, we're going to have to add x to both sides. We're going to add x and add x. To get rid of minus x, we're going to have to add x because minus x plus x is 0. So on the left-hand side, we had 3x plus 26. We're adding x, so 3x's plus x would be 4x's plus 26. That's what you get when you add an x at left-hand side. And on the right-hand side here, we had 90 minus x. We're adding x to get rid of the minus x, so that's just going to become 90. So the right-hand side is just 90, because we're adding x to get rid of the minus x. Now we can just solve this equation. We can take away 26 and take away 26. On the left-hand side, we had 4x plus 26. We're taking away 26, that'll just leave us with 4x. And on the right-hand side, we had 90 minus 26, and 90 minus 26, 90 minus 26 is equal to 64. So that means that 4x equals 64. Now we're going to divide by 4 and divide by 4, and then we'll find out what x is. So if we half this and half it again, half of it is 32 and half again is 16. So x is equal to 16 degrees. So let's go up here. We know that x is equal to 16 degrees. Now we've been asked to find the size of angle y. We want to find the size of this angle. So let's find the size of these two angles, and hopefully they're going to be the same. It's an isosceles triangle, so whenever we substitute in 16 into this and into this, they should be equal to each other. So 90 minus x, that's going to be 90 minus 16. So 90 minus 16 is equal to 74 degrees. So that means that this angle is 74 degrees. And then down here we've got 3x plus 26. So it's going to be 3 times 16 plus 26. And it's a calculator paper, so we can just do it on our calculator. 3 times 16 plus 26. And when we do that, we get that's equal to 74 degrees. And that's fantastic. They're both equal to each other. Now, if I was pushed for time there, and if I had this with 74 degrees for this one, I could have just written 74 degrees for that one. But I really just wanted to check there and make sure I had it right. So that's why I done 3 times 16 plus 26 to get that's equal to 74 as well. Now we've been asked to find the size of angle y. We want to find the size of this angle. So we're going to do 74 plus 74. So 74 plus 74 is equal to 148. And let's take that away from 180. So 180 minus 148 is equal to 32 degrees. So it means that this angle is 32 degrees. And that's it. We've found the size of angle y. Y is 32 degrees. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 21. So question number 21, we've got ABCD, it's a parallelogram, and EFG, that's an isosceles triangle. And we're told that CD is equal to W plus 2 centimeters, and the EF is equal to 3W plus 9, and the FG is equal to 8W minus 3. And we're told that BC, so BC is equal to 3AB. So this length, BC, is 3 times that length. So with this being a parallelogram, if we know that this length, BC, is 3 times AB, and we know that CD is equal to W plus 2, well, W plus 2 is going to be the right-hand side, but it's also going to be the left-hand side. And this length is 3 times that length. So if we times this by 3, so 3 times W plus 2, that would be 3W plus 6. So 3W plus 6. You could have actually done that with brackets and done 3 bracket W plus 2 and then expanded the brackets to get 3W plus 6. I've just times them both by 3 because I know it's 3 times larger. Okay, that's fantastic. I just done that because it actually just said that in the question. I thought I could actually just work that bit out. And then the question is the perimeter of the parallelogram is equal to the perimeter of the triangle. And then the question says, calculate the length of EG. So we want to find the length of EG. Okay, so here we want to find the perimeter of the parallelogram because we know the perimeter of the parallelogram is the same as the perimeter of the triangle. So we know that the top length is 3W plus 6, so the bottom length is going to be 3W plus 6 as well. And then we've got the shape here, EFG. And actually just thinking about it, this is an isosceles triangle. And thinking back to our last question where we had the isosceles triangle, question number 19, not the last one, but 2 questions ago. We had an isosceles triangle, and we know that the left-hand side is the same as the right-hand side. So here we know that this length is the same as that length. So if we go back to this one here, we know that the length of this side is the same as the length of that side. So that means that those two sides are equal to each other. So we could actually make an equation there. And when we solve that equation, we can find out what W is. Once we find out what W is, we can find the perimeter of the parallelogram, and then we know that's the perimeter of the triangle, the isosceles triangle, so then we can work out what EG is. So let's solve that equation. Let's actually form the equation to begin with. 3W plus 9 is equal to 8W subtract 3. The left-hand side is the same as the right-hand side. So we want to solve this equation. We've got letters on both sides. The lowest number of W's is 3W, so we want to get rid of that 3W. And to get rid of 3W, we're going to subtract 3W. So we're going to subtract 3W from the left-hand side and also the right-hand side. 3W plus 9, take away 3W, would just be 9. And then on the right-hand side, we had 8W minus 3. We're taking away the 3W, so that's going to leave us with 8W, take away 3W, is 5W minus 3. Okay, so we've now got this equation. I'm actually just going to turn this around. So I'm going to write 5W minus 3 is equal to 9, just turning that around. And then if we solve that, let's add 3 to both sides. So add 3 to the left-hand side and add 3 to the left-hand side. We're adding 3 to get rid of the minus 3. So we'll be left with 5W equals, and then 9 plus 3 is equal to 12. And then I'm just checking, is this a calculator question? Yes, it is. That's nice. We can divide by 5 and divide by 5 and find out what W is. So W is equal to 12 divided by 5, which is equal to 2.4. So it means that W is equal to 2.4. So that's fantastic. So we know that W W is equal to 2.4. And we find that out by just considering the isosceles triangle that the left-hand side is the same as the right-hand side. Okay, now we're told the perimeter of the parallelogram is equal to the perimeter of the triangle. So let's find the perimeter of the parallelogram. So we know that W is equal to 2.4, so we could substitute that into each of these. So we could do 2.4 plus 2 is equal to 4.4 for the left-hand side and 4.4 for the right-hand side. So we could do that, 4.4 and 4.4, because we know that W is equal to 2.4. And then in terms of the length here, we're going to do 3 times 2.4, so 3 times 2.4, that's a calculator question, plus 6 is equal to 13.2. So 13.2 and 13.2. So to find the perimeter of this parallelogram, I'm going to do 4.4 plus 13.2 plus 4.4 plus 13.2. And that will give us the perimeter of this parallelogram. And that's equal to 35.2 centimeters. So the perimeter of this parallelogram is 35.2 centimeters. So that's fantastic. We've now found the perimeter of the parallelogram is 35.2 centimeters. Now that's equal to the perimeter of the triangle. So that means the perimeter of the triangle is also equal to 35.2 centimeters. And we know the left-hand side and the right-hand side are equal to each other, and we know the W is equal to 2.4, so let's find the length of the left-hand side and the length of the right-hand side. So here we're going to do 3 times 2.4 plus 9. So on our calculator, we'll do 3 times 2.4 plus 9. So 3 times 2.4 plus 9 is equal to 16.2 centimeters for the left-hand side. And here, this should be 16.2 as well, but I'm just going to check it. 8 times 2.4 subtract 3. And 8 times 2.4 subtract 3 is equal to 16.2 as well. So that's fantastic. We've now know the length of the left-hand side and the right-hand side. We know the perimeter of the whole shape is equal to 35.2 centimeters. So if we take those away from 35.2, we can find the length of EF, what we're trying to find. So 16.2 plus 16.2 is equal to 32.4. And then 35.2 take away 32.4 is equal to 2.8. So 2.8 centimeters. So EF is equal to 2.8 centimeters. And that's it. So EF is 2.8 centimeters. I'm just going to recap that question because quite a few steps in that one. We can start with the isosceles triangle, that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. We can then work out what W is because that makes an equation. We can form an equation there. 3W plus 9 is equal to 8W subtract 3. And you solve that equation and you get that W is equal to 2.4. You could then substitute that into this right-hand side here and get that's equal to 4.4. We're then told that BC is 3 times that length, so you could just times the 4.4 by 3 and you get that's equal to 13.2. So we didn't actually need to do that bit. That's 13.2. And then you can then find the perimeter of the parallelogram. And then because we know the lengths of these two sides, we can then add them together and take them away from the perimeter of the parallelogram because they're the same as each other. And that gives you the length of EG being 2.8. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our last question, question number 22. So question number 22 says, on Monday, Desmond ran X kilometers. On Tuesday, he ran 3 kilometers less than Monday. So if he ran X kilometers on Monday, on Tuesday, he ran 3 kilometers less. So whatever he ran on Monday, you take 3 away from that. So it's going to be X minus 3. And then on Tuesday, Desmond ran 4 times the distance he ran on Monday. So he ran X kilometers on Monday, he ran 4 times further, so it's going to be 4X on Wednesday. And then the question says the mean distance ran was 16 kilometers. So the mean distance ran. So to find the mean, we would add up the distances on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we would divide by the number of numbers, which in this case is 3. And then the question says work out how far Desmond ran on Wednesday. So let's form an equation here. To find the mean, we would add these together and divide by 3. So that's going to be X plus, and then on Tuesday he ran X minus 3, and then on Wednesday he ran 4X. So we'd add those all up. You could just add them up and do 4X plus X is 5X plus another X is 6X minus 3. So it's going to be 6X minus 3. And we'll see that in a minute. But I've just done it out in full here. So X plus X minus 3 plus 4X. And then we're divided by 3 because that's the number of numbers. And that's equal to 16. So that's our equation. Okay, now I'm going to simplify the top line of this fraction, the numerator of this fraction here, by just collecting the like terms. So 4x plus x is 5x plus another x is 6x. So we've got 6x minus 3. Just collecting the like terms there. And that's divided by 3. And that is equal to 16. Okay, so we've now got our equation. We want to solve this, so let's get rid of this divide by 3. So if we want to get rid of this divide by 3, we're going to times both sides of the equation by 3. Because if we times by 3, it gets rid of the divide by 3. So we're times by 3 to get rid of the divide by 3, so we left with the numerator, so it's going to be 6x minus 3. And then the right hand side, we had 16 times 3 is equal to 48. Okay, now we've got 6x minus 3 is equal to 48. We want to solve this equation, so we want to get rid of this minus 3, so we're going to add 3 and add 3. So on the left hand side, we had 6x minus 3. We're adding 3 to get rid of the minus 3, so we're just left with 6x. And on the right hand side, we had 48 plus 3 is equal to 51. Okay, now we want to get rid of this multiplied by 6, so we're going to divide by 6 and divide by 6. So our left hand side would just become x, because 6x divided by 6 is just x. And the right hand side would go 51 divided by 6. Is it a calculator question? It is. That's nice. We could do 51 divided by 6. And that's equal to 8.5. So x is equal to 8.5. Now the question says we've got x is equal to 8.5. So that's 8.5 kilometers on Monday. On Tuesday he ran 3 kilometers less, so that's going to be 5.5. And on Wednesday, which what we're trying to find out here is how far did he run on Wednesday, that's 4x. So it's going to be 4 times 8.5. If we times that by 4, we can find out how far he ran on Wednesday. So we're going to do 8.5 times 4. And 8.5 times 4 is equal to 34. That's equal to 34. So he ran 34 kilometers on Wednesday. 34 kilometers. And that's it. And that's it. So these have been the video solutions to the Corbettmaths practice questions on forming and solving equations. I really hope you find this video useful. If you need any extra help on this topic, if you go to Corbettmaths and you go to video numbers 114 and 115, there's video tutorials there on solving equations or forming and solving equations. But in this video, we focus on the video solutions to the practice questions. I really hope you find it useful. If you have found it useful, please like this video and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.